It seems like for years, actors Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio endured years of disappointment every time the award shows come around. Hi, I'm Stacey Taylor, and today I'm counting down the top 10 celebrities that called out the award show snubs. So what actors do you think got snubbed by the award shows hard? And let us know in the comments below. Coming at number 10, we have The Weeknd. So back in 2020, The Weeknd was definitely not impressed with the Recording Academy after he accused the Grammys ruling board for supposedly not inviting him to the 2021 award ceremony despite Blinding Lights being one of the best songs released that year. The Weeknd would take to Instagram to say, collaboratively planning a performance for weeks to not being invited. In my opinion, 0 nominations equals you're not invited. While The Weeknd had overtly suggested that he had been snubbed for the upcoming award show, he wasn't the only Grammy-winning musician to come up with the conclusion. Elton John would even voice his support for The Weeknd by saying, "In my humble opinion, Blinding Lights, Song of the Year, Record of the Year, #Grammy snub." While a number of musicians across the industry celebrated their Grammy nominations, The Weeknd would continue to call out the Recording Academy for its lack of nominations by saying, "The Grammys remains corrupt. You owe me, my fans, and the industry transparency." After being snubbed, The Weeknd said he would be boycotting the annual award ceremony going forward. In a statement that was posted to the New York Times, The Weeknd would say that he would no longer allow his label to submit his music to the Grammys. When he was asked why he was boycotting the Grammys, he would even tell the newspaper it was because of secret committees. At number 9, Mandy Moore. When the 2022 Emmy Award nominations were announced back in July, while we definitely saw some pleasant surprises, many found one show's absent from the list crushing. Now, This Is Us was a hit with audiences and critics alike. In its final season, it would be completely ignored, with it just securing 1 nomination in the original music and lyrics category. As fans tried to make sense of the shocking omission, the show's star, Mindy Moore, posted her own reaction to the news. She would begin by expressing her disappointment over the fact that the TV Academy overlooked the show's creator, Dan Fogelma, director Ken Olin, and the season's much lauded penultimate episode, The Train. Mandy would say, "I do wish our show was recognized in what I think was its finest hour." And Dan Fogelman's brilliant writing. For season 6, Hello The Train, Ken Olin's impeccable direction, our insanely, widely talented cast and crew. The actress would then add that regardless of the award recognition, the emotional series had made a significant impact on viewers. Aside from season 4, This Is Us has been included in the nominations for Outstanding Drama Series each year, and it even ended up snagging 39 nominations over its course of time running. While they may have not have been nominated for the awards they were looking for the last season, they know they worked hard and that their show meant so much to many people. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, Lil Nas X. So in June, Lil Nas X would call out the BET Awards in a series of now deleted tweets after receiving 0 nominations for their 2022 awards. While Lil Nas X's critically acclaimed album, Montero, was released in 2021, it would span 2 #1 singles, Montero, Call Me By Your Name, and Industry Baby with Jack Harlow. With both debuting at the number 2 spot behind Drake's Certified Lover Boy, it also received plenty of award nominations, including Album of the Year at the Grammys. With Lil Nas being previously nominated for a BET Award in 2020 for Best New Artist, he would then go on to perform at the 2021 award show, where he made headlines for kissing one of his dancers on stage. In response to being snubbed in 2022, he would then head to Twitter to say, "Thank you, BET Awards, an outstanding 0 nominations again." Black excellence. A troll would then later ask Lil Nas X what he even put out and not to use the LGBTQ things as an excuse. Lil Nas would then hit back by saying, "I don't know, maybe 3 of the biggest songs last year in a critically acclaimed album. I feel like that should have helped me a bit." Later, Lil Nas would then also say, "It doesn't even have to be me nominated. I just feel like Black gay people have to fight to be seen in this world, and even when we make it into the top, MFs try to pretend we're invisible." At number 7, Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling is used to being singled out as a role model, as the first woman of color to create, write, and star in the prime-time sitcom, and as a fashion icon. But the television and movie star writer also has had plenty of experience for being singled out for negative reasons. In a story with Elle magazine, Mindy would open up about such an experience with the Television Academy in her early days working as an actress, writer, and producer on the NBC sitcom The Office. Mindy would say, when the show was nominated for Outstanding Comedy Series, the Television Academy informed her that they were going to cut her from the list of numerous producers on The Office because of the sheer abundance of names. To prove herself, they made her, and not any of the other show's producers, fill out a whole form and write an essay about her contributions as a writer and producer. She also had to get letters from all the other male white producers to say that she had contributed. The Television Academy would then respond with a statement downplaying Mindy's story by saying, "No one person was singled out. There was an increasing concern years ago regarding the number of performers and writers seeking producer credits. At the time, the producer guild worked with the Television Academy to correct vet producer eligibility. Every performer, producer, and writer-producer was asked to justify their producer credits. We no longer require this justification from performer producers and writing producers, but we do continue to vet consoling producers' credits with the PGA to ensure those credited are actually functioning in the roles as producers. However, out of all respect, Mindy was singled out, and there were not any other writer, performer, producers who were cut from the list, and just her, and she happened just to be the most junior person and woman of color on the show." Number 6, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan once called out the award show for snubbing late actor Chadwick Boseman. Back in 2021, Michael B. Jordan would say he believed that late actor Chadwick Boseman would win the Best Actor Oscar for his celebrated performance in Matt Rainey's Black Bottom. The two actors worked together on Black Panther, and like many fans, Jordan was disappointed that Chadwick did not win. Michael would go on to say, "But you know, this is how I honestly and truly feel about it. There's like no award that can validate his legacy. There's no win that can take away anything from the lives around the world he impacted. So you've got to look at things that we can control and the gifts and blessings that he left us. And this is the incredible body of work and what he represents for a person, and as the biggest one we could really ask for." While Jordan did initially hold off from watching Matt Rainey's Black Bottom because he could not bear that there would be no future work from his friend, when he finally did, he savored every moment of it and would state that he was such an incredible person, and you could see that Chadwick was giving everything he had. While Anthony Hopkins, who did win Best Actor that year for his work in The Father, he would honor Boseman in The Message after winning, but the show was definitely wrong to snub him. Number 5, Jimmy Kimmel. There is absolutely no denying that Spider-Man No Way Home was one of the best films of 2021 thanks to the film's astronomical success, box office takings, critical acclaim, and sheer popularity. Many fans thought it was in with a fair chance to be nominated for the Best Picture at the Academy Awards. However, when the Oscar nominations were announced, No Way Home was nowhere to be seen. Back in February, late-night host Jimmy Kimmel would even call out the Academy Awards when he would ask why they snubbed Spider-Man No Way Home by saying, "The biggest snub in my opinion, and I'm actually angry about this, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, is the unforgivable omission of Spider-Man No Way Home. How did that not get one of the 10 nominations for Best Picture?" Jimmy asked his audience. Forget the fact that the movie made $750 million and is still going. This was a great movie. It wasn't in the top 10 best movies of the year. There were 3 Spider-Man in it. You're telling me Don't Look Up was better than Spider-Man? It most certainly was not. Jimmy would then go on to make a joke by saying even if you go by critics' reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, Don't Look Up got 46% and Spider-Man No Way Home got 90%. Jimmy would then go on to question why Best Picture nominees have to be series, and when did it become a prerequisite for getting nominated for any Academy Award. Number 4, Josh Brolin. Back in February, Josh Brolin called out the 2022 Oscars for snubbing Denis Villeneuve. the Best Director in the Best Director category. The Dune star slammed the Academy for not recognizing Denis' version of the science fiction adaptation while applauding the Oscars for recognizing others. Dune landed the second highest number of nominations at the 94th Academy Awards, with 10 nominations behind Power of the Dog with 12 nominations. Josh would say, "Hey, I just want to congratulate the legendary Warner Brothers. Everybody who got nominated for Dune, editing, cinematography, score, music, writing, pretty much everything. And unbelievably, almost numbing. I feel for Denis not being nominated for Best Director. It's just one of those things where you go, huh? What?" Josh would then say he had no idea how you get 10 nominations, and then the guy who has done the impossible with the book doesn't get nominated. It makes you realize that it's all amazing when it's effing totally dumb. So congratulations for the amazing accomplishments these incredibly talented people have been acknowledged for, because it's really dumb. Josh would then end his video by giving a thumbs up to the camera. And number 3, Rachel Zegler. West Side Story star Rachel Zegler used her Oscars platform to call out the Academy Awards for not inviting her in the first place. When the actor revealed that she wasn't invited to the Oscar ceremony, despite the fact that the film had been nominated in a number of categories, she would head to Instagram to call out the award ceremony snub. And she would add that she would be cheering on the film from her couch. It all started when a fan commented, "Can't wait to see what you'll be wearing Oscar night." And Rachel would respond by saying, "I'm not invited, so sweatpants and my boyfriend's flannel." Later it would be revealed that Rachel had received an invitation to the ceremony, which took place in LA, and was asked to present an award. The actor appeared on stage to present the Best Visual Effects Award, where she would say, "And I never thought that I would be here 6 days ago. Dreams really can come true." Pretty fast too. And for so many here tonight being nominated for an Oscar, it's a lifetime dream come true. After the film was nominated for 7 awards, West Side Story's Ariana DeBose scooped the gong for Best Supporting Actress. However, it still makes you wonder why the award ceremony left out Rachel in the first place. Number 2, Kanye West. So remember when Kanye West felt like Beyonce was snubbed in a key MTV VMA category and decided to air his grievances on stage at winner Taylor Swift's expense? Now, the MTV Video Music Awards are known for their shocking moments, with some being planned and some being unplanned. I think we were all pretty shocked after Taylor won Best Female Video category and Kanye took to the stage to defend Beyonce by saying, "Yo Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'ma let you finish, but Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time." Beyonce would then later give up her own acceptance speech to bring Taylor back up on the stage. However, it didn't help that Taylor had to perform right after Kanye's stunt. While Taylor and her mom were spotted crying behind the stage. Behind the whole ordeal, Kanye still didn't realize how damaging his actions truly were that night. And coming at number 1 today, we have Jennifer Lopez. So one of the most headlining making Oscar snubs in recent years to occur was with Jennifer Lopez when she failed to secure her first ever nomination for Best Supporting Actress in The Hustlers. Lopez has been considered as a favorite for the Academy recognition that season after her show-stopping performance, but she came up empty-handed for the nomination. The omission was quite painful for J-Lo, and in her Netflix documentary Halftime, she would talk about her struggles to be heard, to be seen, to be taken seriously in Hollywood. J-Lo would then explain it was hard and that she had very low self-esteem, and it was really hard for her to figure out who she was, and she had to believe in it and not believe in anything else. After being snubbed, she would then say, "I do this not for an award. No, I do this to connect with people and make them feel things because I want to feel something." When Jennifer wasn't nominated, she felt like she let everyone down a bit. It was really sad because there was a lot of build up to it, with a lot of articles claiming that she was going to get nominated for an Oscar. When it didn't happen, she had to remind herself that she didn't need to award to tell her that she was good enough.
Who will not be in attendance? Welcome to Me on the Screen. I'm Nate, and these are 10 celebrities banned from the 2024 Golden Globes. Number 10, Russell Brand. The comedian turned actor Russell Brand may be best known for roles like All the Snow and Get Him to the Greek and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, or maybe for his musical chops with his real fake band Infant Sorrow. But what many people may not know about the Brand Man is that awards shows have always been his guilty pleasure. Russell was a regular audience member, and eventually he was asked to attend as a full-fledged host for MTV's VMAs. The hosting gig has been debated by fans as both being great for his career and a career ender. He decided to take time away from the art artists and joke about the American president at the time, Barack Obama, and former president George W. Bush. He said a lot of stuff that I can't repeat on the internet, literally calling Barack Obama another word for mentally challenged, and another one that means cat. Following his time as host, MTV decided that he was not the best fit for their program. The VMAs are supposed to be a fun night celebrating talented artists around the world, and instead, Russell turned it into a political stand-up routine. Considering he's not allowed back to the MTV Awards and, all the dark stuff that's come out about him this year, go check stuff out about that, he is not allowed at any awards shows ever again. Number 9. Amber Heard. Amber Heard is back to work after having her career put on hold while she participated in one of the most televised and highly debated celebrity court cases in history. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard got into a deep court battle over an op-ed she released back in 2016, in which she claimed that Johnny was a tyrant who was physically and emotionally damaging towards her during their relationship. Johnny won the trial, and both himself and Amber were good to get back to work. Johnny has been working on some more dramatic pieces and spending time on his music. Meanwhile, Amber got back into the saddle and started to film her latest project, In the Fire, which, surprise, she also produced. While the movie does exist, it's nowhere near the level it needs to be in order to get any nominations. There have been a ton of incredible movies and TV shows to come out of this year that do deserve nominations and wins. Her movie is not one of them, and so far she has not been invited to the ceremony. Number 8. Ellen DeGeneres. Now, before she was outed as the manager of a toxic work environment, she was actually a very well-respected TV host and celebrity. In 2014, she used her power to get a bunch of actors together for a selfie. The selfie featured the faces of Meryl Streep, Channing Tatum, Julia Roberts, Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, Brad Pitt, Lupita Nyong'o, Peter Nyong'o, Angelina Jolie, Jared Leto, and one man whose name I'm not allowed to say because it'll get us demonetized, so let's call him the Spaceman. So many celebrities got together and the photo went viral overnight, but as I said, Ellen and her influence were a ticking clock heading for doomsday. Eventually, former employees got together to release statements claiming that they were subjected to rude behavior and just straight up bullying from both Ellen herself and several high-ranking executives. As this information was released, her show got canceled along with her career, and being a former TV host would usually mean that you're on track to host the Oscars or Golden Globes or any one of these events, but it's looking like she may not be invited to any awards shows anytime soon, especially not the Golden Globes. If Ellen ever wants to host a show for her own again, it'll have to be a self-taped docu-series that she sells as physical DVDs in a strip mall. Remember DVDs? I say that like they no longer exist in Walmarts. Number 7. Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty. This is one of the few live TV fumbles that I actually got to see happen live, and I was just as confused as the rest of the world, I'm sure. In 2017, at the Oscar ceremony, Warren and Faye appeared on stage to present the award for Best Film. They opened an envelope and read the name out loud. At first, Faye was a little confused because it was later revealed that the envelope said Emma Stone La La Land, as she was accidentally handed a copy of the winner's name for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Because it said La La Land, she confidently told the audience that La La Land had won the Oscar. As the crew from the project flooded the stage, Warren and Faye continued to look a little confused until the stage is just overflowing with excited people ready to accept their Oscars. However, a moment later, the director of the film, Damien Chazelle, saw the envelope and addressed the audience. A mistake had been made and they did not win. A stagehand ran to the crew, handing them the real winner's name, Moonlight. Moonlight had won Best Picture that year, not La La Land. There was a moment of people thinking that this is some kind of a joke, but they were being very sincere. The best part of this moment is Ryan Gosling, the lead of the movie and nominee for Best Actor, trying to contain his laughter. He wasn't even upset. It was more like a, you gotta be kidding me. Something tells me that Faye and Warren will not be asked to present another award at any show for the foreseeable future. Number 6. John Travolta. A little while back in 2014, John Travolta flubbed the name of one of the most famous women in musical theater history. At the Oscars that year, he was supposed to introduce Idina Menzel ahead of her performance of Let It Go, because in case you didn't know, she's Elsa. She was also Elphaba in the musical Wicked and a ton of other shows as well, but for this event she was promoting the film and showcasing a piece of music that became one of the most popular songs for the next 3 years. He was so confident in his delivery, he introduced the audience to the wickedly talented, the one and only Adele Dazeem. The moment spawned some parody Twitter accounts and even an Adele Dazeem random name generator that turned Jared Leto into Jed Lopez and Matthew McConaughey into Michael Mausolean. The following year, the two appeared on stage together where Adina decided to drop a little revenge. She was set to introduce the next round of nominees, and as a little joke, the Oscars executives decided to invite John Travolta back to team up with Adele. She introduced him by his new name, Glom Gazingo. The interaction between them seemed a bit forced, but it was nice that they played the entire thing off as funny rather than an actual incident. Since then, John is to triple check things before he presents at any award shows, but for all we know, he's just stopped being invited to them altogether. Number 5, Kanye West. There are so many reasons that this man is banned from ever attending another VMA, a Golden Globe, an Oscar ceremony, anything in his entire life. We can chalk it up to him literally being a cuckoo. After all, he was fired from basically every single company that he worked for after posting some pretty bad tweets that I can't get into at this time. But the reality is that Kanye was banned in the mid-2010s following several public mishaps as well as one on stage that is still talked about to this day. An incident took place in 2009 at the VMAs when Taylor Swift attempted to accept her award for Best Female Artist of the Year. Kanye stormed the stage and took the microphone from her hands. He then told her that he was gonna let her finish, but he wanted to tell everyone that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. Taylor still jokes about that incident to this day. While she was in Mexico City during her Eras tour this year, she took the stage to play her piano when the crowd started chanting her name. She said that having someone interrupt you by chanting your name is the best way to be interrupted, and she should know. Kanye was issued a ban from the following year of the VMAs and has since received a lifetime ban from both MTV and has been blacklisted from most other award shows indefinitely. Number 4, Kevin Hart. Kevin was set to host the Oscars back in 2019, but he was fired last minute after a stand-up bit and a series of tweets resurfaced that painted him as anti-LGBTQ+. In 2009, Kevin sent out a series of tweets that contained jokes about his feelings should his son potentially come out in the future, making a comment that he would break a dollhouse over his head if he saw him playing with it. He said some harsher stuff that really should not be repeated, and I'm not gonna, but I can understand why a lot of people found these comments pretty rude and damaging, cause they were! At the time, the comments didn't go unnoticed, but they just kind of flew under the radar a little bit in terms of media coverage. He then repeated these jokes on stage in his seriously funny stand-up special. There were also a few homophobic jokes written into the script of the film Get Hard, which I have seen, and I gotta agree it's a little bit too much. In 2015, when asked about the tweets, he told people that he would not repeat the jokes that he made today, but the only reason was that the times were getting too sensitive. When he was announced as a host in 2018, the internet collectively put a case together as to why he should not be the host. The Oscars were forced to fire him in the role of the host due to the alarming numbers of hate mail that they were receiving on a daily basis. Before they actually let him go, they did give him an option to either apologize and own up or just to be let go. Hart released an Instagram video where he decided to pass on an apology because he had already addressed the issue several times and acknowledged the rights and wrongs of the incident. The statement only led to more online outrage and sparked a massive debate. But the next day, he released a separate statement apologizing for his actions and words, and especially to the community that he insulted. Although he apologized and things seem to get better now, he is not asked to do any gig like that ever again. Number 3, Roberto Benigni. In 1998, after being announced as the winner of the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film and a ton of other Oscars that night, Roberto was stoked. So stoked that he forgot where he was for a second. He leaped to his feet and stood on the back of the seat in front of him, literally using a man's head to keep himself balanced. He proceeded to walk over a few people before jumping back into the aisle and running up to accept his award as normal. The moment was not seen as some crazy act, as this was a night that Roberto and Italy as a whole were honored with the film Life is Beautiful, receiving over 20 nominations and winning 10 of them. Roberto's excitement did cause the Academy and a few other awards shows to update their policies. No parkour during the ceremony, folks. Number 2, Britney Spears. Britney Spears was finally released from her conservatorship in 2021 and has since been on a new journey of self-realization and expression. In the past year or two, Britney has been involved with a ton of TV moments, usually interviews, but she recently released a memoir detailing her experiences. She revealed a ton of juicy information about herself and her family, but we've already done dedicated videos on that, so if you're curious, just, go back and check them out. As we are all aware, Hollywood loves to take books, whether they're fiction or non-fiction, as long as it's a good story they're gonna use it. Well, Britney's memoir might be one of those books, but considering her behavior on TikTok in the past few months, something tells me that's probably not gonna happen anytime soon. For those of you who don't know, a series of videos were posted to Britney's TikTok where she seems to be dancing with some stabby jabby things and told everyone that they were fake. Fake or real? Someone needs to check on Britney, because no one's letting her at any award shows anytime soon with that attitude. And at number 1, Will Smith. Will Smith is banned from every single awards show from now until the end of time. If you don't know why, you have been living under a rock for the last 2 years, say hi to Patrick for me.
The 2020 Oscar nominations have officially been announced at the time of this recording, with director Todd Phillips' Joker leading the field with 11 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Joaquin Phoenix. However, not everyone received a nomination, of course, and some stars who we thought were frontrunners got snubbed. So today on Top 10 Beyond the Screen, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 10 actors who got snubbed by the Oscars. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at 10, Willem Dafoe. Dafoe is a legendary actor with 2 Oscar nominations under his belt for both At Eternity's Gate and the incredible Florida Project. However, his quest for a 3rd Oscar nod has been halted during a time when most were expecting him to at least get a chance to claim the big prize. Dafoe starred last year in the horror movie The Lighthouse, which followed 2 lighthouse keepers who start to lose their sanity when a storm strands them on a remote island where they are stationed. The movie received universal acclaim, with critics highlighting the performances of both leads, Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. However, sadly, the Academy didn't feel the same way and snubbed the talented actor. Could be just because they hate horror movies. Coming in at 9, Taron Egerton. At the 2020 Golden Globes, Taron Egerton took home the award for Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy for his role as Elton John in the movie Rocketman. The film follows Elton in his early days as a prodigy at the Royal Academy of Music through his musical partnership with Tobin. However, unlike Rami Malek, who portrayed Freddie Mercury in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody and went on to win the Best Actor Oscar last year, Egerton didn't even receive a nomination. In at 8, Christian Bale. Last year, Christian Bale appeared alongside Matt Damon in the drama movie Ford vs Ferrari, a movie which follows a determined team of American engineers and designers led by automotive visionary Carroll Shelby and his British driver Ken Miles, who are dispatched by Henry Ford II and Lee Iacocca with the mission of building the Ford GT40, a new racing car with the potential to finally defeat the perennially dominant Ferrari racing team at the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans race in France. Now, Bale in the past has been nominated for 4 Oscars, with him taking home the Oscar once with the 2011 Best Supporting Actor win for The Fighter. Put him in serious contention once again, however sadly he didn't get the nod this time around. Coming in at 7, Nicole Kidman. Last year, Nicole Kidman appeared alongside Charlize Theron and Margot Robbie in the biographical drama Bombshell, a movie based upon the accounts of several women at Fox News who set out to expose CEO Roger Ailes for sexual harassment. The film as a whole received mixed reviews, however critics praised the performances of the cast, particularly Theron, Kidman, Robbie and John Lithgow. At the Golden Globe Awards, the movie received 2 nominations for Theron and Robbie, and 4 at the 26th Screen Actors Guild Awards for Theron, Robbie and Kidman. However, when the Oscars announced the nominations, only Theron and Robbie received a nod, with Nicole Kidman being completely forgotten about. You never put Kidman in a corner. In at 6, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is back and better than ever, apparently. Last year he starred in the biographical comedy Dolomite Is My Name, with Murphy starring as filmmaker Rudy Ray Moore, best known for portraying the character of Dolomite in both his stand-up routine and a series of blaxploitation films, starting with Dolomite in 1975. The film received hugely positive reviews from critics, with folks praising Murphy's comeback performance, with it being his first film in 3 years. It was also chosen by both the National Board of Review and Time magazine as one of the 10 best films of the year. At the 77th Golden Globe Awards, the film was also nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, with Murphy also nabbing a nomination for Best Actor. However, like the rest of our list, Murphy came up short at the Oscars, with the Academy seemingly snubbing him. In at 5, Lupita Nyong'o. Now, Lupita Nyong'o didn't just give one stellar performance in 2019, she gave 2 in the wickedly terrifying Jordan Peele movie Us. The film followed Adelaide Wilson and her family, who were attacked by a group of menacing doppelgangers. Now, Lupita played Adelaide and of course the doppelganger, and she was absolutely incredible in both roles. But sadly, the Academy didn't agree and denied the actress a second nomination after she won Best Supporting Actress for 12 Years a Slave back in 2013. In at 4, Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler received very rare critical acclaim for his performance in Uncut Gems, a movie that follows Howard Ratner, a jeweler and gambling addict in New York City's Diamond District, who gets in over his head with loan sharks and must retrieve an expensive gem he purchased in order to pay off his debts. Now, Sandler campaigned hard for a nomination, and longtime fans were there right alongside him, hoping the comedian could earn his very first nomination. However, Sandler sadly got no love from the Academy, upsetting a lot of fans and the movie. To be fair, it's hard to separate Sandler from his past, such as 50 First Dates, Happy Gilmore, and all the other he's done. In at number 3, Awkwafina. Now, this one is the most frustrating in my opinion, because how do you go from winning a Golden Globe to not even getting nominated for an Oscar? I just don't understand it. It reminds me of the time the Queen, Madonna, won the Golden Globe for Evita and then was snubbed for the Oscar, when we all know she should have been nominated and should have won. Just saying. Anyway, Awkwafina starred in The Farewell, a movie that follows a family who, upon learning their grandmother has only a short while left to live, decides not to tell her and schedules a family gathering before she dies. The actress was praised for her performance and, as I previously mentioned, even won the Golden Globe, making her the first Asian actress to take home the Best Actress in a musical or comedy category, which is absolutely insane. But sadly, and for some unknown reason, the Oscars didn't even look her way. No one cares about the Oscars anyway, it's all about the Golden Globes. Coming in at 2, Robert De Niro. Fans were of course upset when legendary actor Robert De Niro also missed out on an Oscar nod, but it wasn't too much of a surprise considering he also failed to get a nomination at the Golden Globes or Screen Actors Guild. He starred in The Irishman, where he played Frank Sheeran. The film follows Frank, a truck driver who becomes a hitman involved with mobster Russell Bufalino and his crime family, including his time working for the powerful team star Jimmy Hoffa. The film made waves for its incredible de-aging technology, with the older actors looking more youthful than ever. However, it became clear after a handful of failed nominations that the 2-time Oscar winner in a critically praised role was about to miss out on an Oscar nod, due to being overshadowed by his supporting co-stars Joe Pesci and Al Pacino. Could also be because the film was about 3.5 hours long and no one has time to watch that. And finally, coming in at number 1, J-Lo. It was widely predicted that Jennifer Lopez was going to receive a Best Supporting Actress nomination at the Oscars, as she did at the Golden Globes. The actress was of course nominated for her performance in Hustlers, where she played a stripper named Ramona Vega, with the plot following a crew of strippers in New York City who begin to steal money by drugging stock traders and CEOs who visit their club, and then running up their credit cards. J-Lo is absolutely phenomenal in this movie, with the actress even bringing home Screen Actors Guild, Critics' Choice and Golden Globe nominations. However, the Oscars turned a blind eye to the star's performance and snubbed her, with outcry immediately pouring out on social media. Lopez's snub particularly upset Tyler Perry, who said, I quote, "I'm upset, man. J-Lo didn't get nominated. Are you kidding me? She should have gotten nominated." I honestly couldn't agree more. Hustlers was by far one of my favorite movies of 2019, and that is saying something.
The Golden Globes, filled with celebrities and of course, drama. Joe Coy was the host for this year's event, and the majority of the public seemed to have quite the opinion. So what roast occurred that night? Seems like there may be bad blood after Joe Coy made a joke about Taylor Swift herself at the Golden Globes. Not just about Taylor, oh no, but her relationship with Travis Kelce, which we all know was a huge conversation as the media went crazy. So what did Joe even say? His joke was that the big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift, and when the camera panned over to Taylor, she maintained a neutral face before taking a sip of her drink and keeping her eyes forward. Take a look for yourself. First of all, couldn't help but notice how stunning she looks in her green sparkly dress, and second of all, I do think she handled this roast quite well because it just appears she brushed it off, even though it was an obvious dig at her relationship. And Joe Coy actually responded to those images of Taylor's reaction. When he spoke to Entertainment Tonight, he described her reaction as cute and then added, "I was just saying it's less cutaways, that's all." And it seems like the public has mixed reactions, with some thinking Joe went too far and others feeling sympathy for him as they acknowledge hosting hosting these events aren't easy, as you aren't meant to take digs at the audience. Plus, he didn't write all the jokes himself, but was the one presenting them. Do you think his roast against Taylor was too far or not at all? Hello, love. Sorry for the bad British accent, but I'm trying to transition into the topic of the royal family because at events like the Golden Globes, they are roasted. More specifically, it was about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Joe said, "It turns out Harry and Meghan Markle were still getting paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing, and that's just by Netflix." I honestly am curious about what your thoughts on this joke were, because some called it brutal and others aren't even focusing on this one compared to his other jokes. But anyways, one user even shared their thoughts as they wrote, "So no one told Joe Coy that practically the entire cast of Suits is there in the audience of the Golden Globes, and so he went on ahead with that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle joke." The couple was not in attendance at the Golden Globes, so unfortunately we weren't able to get their live reaction. And of course, it couldn't be the 2024 Golden Globes without any reference to the blonde plastic doll. Yup, not even Barbie was safe from the roast. One reference that seemed to have the public less than impressed was when Joe Coy expressed how Oppenheimer was based on a 721-page prize-winning book on the Manhattan Project, while Barbie was based on a plastic doll with breasts. But he didn't stop there, because he also added, "The key moment in Barbie is when she goes from a perfect beauty to a bad breath, cellulite, and flat feet, or what casting directors call character act." Many reacted obviously unhappy, especially because the whole point of the Barbie movie was to fight concepts like this. The Golden Globes cameras were also working hard because it captured Ryan Gosling's less than impressed facial expressions and of course, Greta Gerwig's as well. Even Selena Gomez is seen in the audience putting her head down because yikes. And many even said Joe's joke was insane, especially because the whole Barbie movie talks about how hard it is to be a woman in a man's world. Plus, Joe even added that it was weird to be attracted to a plastic doll while watching the Margot Robbie-led movie. And a lot of people, from what I've seen, have shared their opinions and believe Joe's joke about Barbie was misogynistic and the worst joke he made all night. I don't know if you noticed, but recently a ton of celebrities have been rumored to be using Ozempic, which is a medication not meant for weight loss, but many have been using it for that reason. Elon Musk, Amy Schumer, and Sharon Osbourne are just a few who have admitted to using it. Well, Joe actually mentions Ozempic while making a joke about the color purple, which was one of the top titles of the night. His joke was that the color purple is what happens to your butt when you take Ozempic. And many didn't like this joke as it simply wasn't funny to them, and to be honest, I had to read a whole Reddit thread explaining this joke because I was a little confused and it didn't really help much. But the topic of Ozempic has been circulating all over social media after many celebrities allegedly lost a ton of weight by using it. So Joe was kind of bold with this one. He was also not afraid to roast directors as well. In fact, he roasted Martin Scorsese, who was the director of Killers of the Flower Moon. And that film was a Western drama which starred Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, and even Robert De Niro. But Joe's roast goes quite deep as it does not only talk about the director and the meaning of the film, well, at least to him, but also a whole race. Joe begins by saying white people stole everything and then also added, not like 97%, you guys stole 100% of everything. You took the land, you took the oil, you took the premise of the movie. And when Joe noticed a mixed reaction from the audience, he decided to continue and say, What, that was your premise? That's hilarious, I don't care, it's just that the room is really white. So many celebrities at the Golden Globes went all out, and I couldn't help but to love Margot Robbie's perfect Barbie outfit, and she even changed into a black version of her dress for the Golden Globes after party, which was a perfect Barbie to Oppenheimer transition moment. Plus, Heidi Klum wore a stunning gown, and Dua Lipa was wearing a black mermaid dress. But it was Jason Sudeikis who stuck out after many people began to notice his choice of shoes. No, it was not red bottom heels, but he wore sneakers to the Golden Globes. He was also wearing a t-shirt which fans couldn't help but to roast him for. The Ted Lasso star doesn't actually appear at award ceremonies often, so when we finally see him, he is wearing quite the opposite of others. Some called him dressed like a 9th grade English teacher, and others actually seemed to like his outfit, particularly for his shoes. He was wearing colorful sneakers, and some either hated it or loved it, but this wasn't the first time his outfit has gotten attention from the media. For the 2021 Golden Globes, he was seen wearing a tie-dye pastel hoodie, but it was over a webcam, and he actually talked about why he wore a hoodie. It was because it would be weird for him to wear a suit as a top and something comfy for his bottom, so he decided just to be comfy. To be fair, this one has been debated about about the authenticity of the story, but it did make headlines, so we're going to include it anyways. And those involved also got roasted all over the internet. There was a moment where the camera shows Selena Gomez, Kaylee Sperry, and Taylor Swift seemingly gossiping as they were all close in a circle, and the public began to try to figure out what these girls were saying, and all they could go on was the clip itself, plus trying to read their lips. And that's when somehow people began to say Selena was gossiping about an interaction she had with Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet. According to the internet, Selena asked Timothy to take a photo with her, who she's been friends with and done projects with in the past, but that's when Kylie allegedly stepped in and said no. And the internet always goes crazy, especially when it comes to drama, and this story made headlines and made me feel like I was getting flashbacks from Selena and Hailey's drama from last year. But a source spoke to people and claimed Selena didn't even interact with these two all night. Plus, some fans noticed that too and began to share the possibility of this really happening, and not a single video or photo was taken of Selena talking to Timothy and Kylie, which many thought would have at least been captured somewhere. I honestly agree with those saying if it did happen, it would have been filmed or something, but do you agree or disagree? Remember when everyone felt bad for Leonardo DiCaprio for always being nominated but not winning? Because it looks like Joe spotted a new Leo. Well, sort of. One of the jokes he made was about Kieran Culkin and poked fun at how he's been nominated 4 times but finally won. Then he also said, "Suck it, Pedro, it's mine." And when the cameras panned over to Pascal, you could see him laughing, then suddenly bursting into tears, which were fake. At least I hope. And this was because The Last of Us, which is a show based on a video game, was nominated for 3 awards at the ceremony, but unfortunately didn't win any. I remember all the hype for The Last of Us when it first came out. Everyone was watching it, talking about it, but I only personally seen clips here and there. And because it's based on a video game, I'm curious to know if any of you who have played it or watched it and your thoughts on it. I think someone forgot to tell Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner that commercial breaks many see on TV is only on TV. And when those who watch the Golden Globes on their website, there was no commercial breaks at all, and instead was literally a camera on the two of them just interacting, and that included the two kissing and being all touchy. Plus, that wasn't all, because many speculated that you could see Kylie saying "I love you" to Timothy, and this caused it to circulate all over social media. And obviously the public shared their opinions on this, with many sharing how their heart is so full and happy, but on the other hand, others are saying it's cringy. And in the video footage, you're able to see Kylie touching his necklace and looking at it, while the two seem to be having a conversation with a few kisses every few seconds. Personally, this is a relationship I never thought would ever exist, especially because they appear to be quite opposites, but I guess they both see something in each other, who knows. Do you like Kylie and Timothy together, or do you prefer her with Travis, or literally anyone else? And Timothy, I knew he dated Lily Rose Depp, but that's about my extent of my knowledge with his romantic interests. And of course, how could we forget who got roasted arguably the most all night? Joe Coy himself seemed to be in the middle of the fire, as his jokes caused a huge reaction from many. None of the celebrity guests in attendance were safe from Joe's roast, and Joe was not safe from the public. In fact, he actually responded after so many people seemed disappointed in his jokes. Joe said, "Some I wrote, some others wrote. Yes, I got the gig 10 days ago. Shut up, you're kidding me, right? Slow down, I wrote some of these and they are the ones you're laughing at." And his response was also mixed, as many believed he was just putting blame on some of the flat jokes on others, but at the same time could be the truth, who knows. He also did address the comments about Taylor Swift, which he admitted fell flat, and of course admitted his backlash he's been receiving does hurt, but it was a moment he would remember forever. Mixed reviews of Joe. What did you think about his hosting job? Award shows are always exciting to see who wins each category, but it is never really drama-free.
The Golden Globes just had their 81st annual ceremony, and people had a lot to say about it. Welcome back to Beyond the Screen. I'm your host Dana, and today we are talking about the top 10 embarrassing moments from the 2024 Golden Globes caught on camera. Starting off our list, we have how Joe Coy was described as the worst host ever. Now, Joe Coy is supposed to be a comedian, which means he's supposed to be funny, but he had the crowd pity laughing because his bits turned into more of a monologue, and people were less than impressed. He claimed he only got the gig 10 days before the event, so if they wanted him to be a perfect host, they should just shut up. Isn't it your whole job to be able to make and write jokes that are funny? No one expects perfection, but it could have at least been polished. Fans were blasting him on social media about his comments on Robert De Niro as well, because Joe said that he was sorry that he was a fan of his. And the fact that Robert De Niro got his 29-year-old girlfriend pregnant was his best performance yet, considering he's 80. While it did make the crowd laugh, his jokes came off as abrasive rather than funny. Which brings me to my next point, Joe Coy's jokes about Taylor Swift. One of the more abrasive jokes he made was about Taylor Swift, and we know how well those jokes go over. Well, the joke in question was that the difference between the Golden Globes and an NFL game was that there was less coverage of Taylor Swift. Some people gasped and other people chuckled, but Taylor did not appreciate it. She didn't even crack a smile. She just pursed her lips, took a sip of her drink, and glared at him with pure malice. The fact that she was just there for attendance made it worse, because she was there with her friends, notably Selena Gomez, who we'll talk more about later. But he went out of his way to call her out, and felt the wrath of Swift fans. Which brings us to the next point, about how Joe Coy was backpedaling on the joke. After his hosting, Twitter went a little haywire. Fans were saying things like how he just walked on set and said, "I'm hosting," and no one did a background check to make sure that was a good idea. And that the audience was pity laughing because of his Barbie jokes, and it was more than obvious he missed the point of the movie. That and his monologue was just plain awful. But when fans got to the Swift jokes, he began backpedaling, trying to defend himself, saying that Taylor and Travis's relationship is cute. There just happened to be fewer cutaways. He then said, maybe she was just thirsty, maybe she just needed a drink and it was weird timing. No man, your joke wasn't funny and she didn't appreciate that. She's made it clear she was only at the games to support Travis, and she isn't worried about pissing off other fans, because she's just there for him, not for them. Following that up, we have Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner's appearance. To wrap my head around the fact that Timothée Chalamet is dating Kylie Jenner is already a hard one to picture, considering he looks 14 but he's really 28 and she's 26 but she looks 30. But because he was nominated, no one was really surprised he brought his girlfriend as a date. However, in classic Hollywood fashion, they showed up late, but they were adorable all the same. They were wearing matching black sequin outfits and were displaying a good amount of PDA throughout the ceremony, and were caught being absolutely smitten with one another. While it's adorable, it caused a little bit of tension, which brings me to the next point, about Kylie's protective energy. Of course, you can't blame Kylie for being protective, but when Selena Gomez asked Timothée for a photo because you know he's a famous actor, Kylie stepped in and said no. Selena took that back to the table and shared this with Taylor Swift, who she is really good friends with, like I mentioned before. But this isn't as surface level as Kylie being protective. It goes as far back as Selena's beef with Hailey Bieber. Taylor and Selena are besties, and Hailey and Kylie were besties. So obviously there's still some residual hate from Kylie towards Selena because of the incident that happened over the previous years. But you'd think she'd feel safe enough in their relationship that she wouldn't mind letting him take photos with fans. The whole thing seemed to have an off vibe to it, but it was embarrassing that Kylie had her insecurities outed like that. Next on the list, we have how Barbie was practically ignored despite winning. Now, Barbie was a smash at the box office, making $155 million on opening weekend alone, but aside from the jokes, it was relatively ignored throughout the ceremony. Now, that's not saying they didn't win. Billie Eilish won an award for the best song in a movie, while 2 other songs from the movie were nominated as well, and the movie itself won a cinematic and box office achievement. But the movie was nominated for a good chunk of the categories. Considering how many memes there were, how many songs were streamed from the movies, and how it affected the entire internet algorithm, I feel like it deserved a little more recognition than what it got, and it's almost embarrassing that it didn't. To follow that, we have how Studio Ghibli beat out Disney. Now, this is a huge feat. Disney owns just about everything, and they dominate the animation business, owning Pixar, Blue Sky, as well as a few other animation studios aside from DreamWorks. So for Studio Ghibli to pull ahead and out on top is incredible. They have a Japanese art style that's truly beautiful and magical, and it's been flying under the radar for years, considering they haven't released a new full-length movie in years as well, and they haven't made such a huge theater debut in decades. So for them to not only win, but beat out Disney Pixar's Elements and Disney's Wish, as well as Into the Spider-Verse, because Sony is also owned by Disney, while it's incredible that they won, the Disney name has to feel some embarrassment considering they had 3 movies in the running and still lost. Next up, we have how Killers of the Moonflower was also widely ignored. Now, this was predicted by a lot of avid movie watchers considering the nature of the film compared to everything else that was released this year. They received 7 nominations over many categories, but only won a single award. And it wasn't for the movie itself, but rather Lily Gladstone's portrayal of her character in the movie. So there has to be some embarrassment there. The fact that they lost on every front except hers. They say you can't win them all, but they didn't win any for the movie itself. But it did have a more serious subject matter compared to some of the other winners, and it wasn't received as well in theaters nor streaming services, considering it was a Paramount and Apple TV original. They were beaten out by mostly Oppenheimer, which makes sense overall, but it's still unfortunate for the movie cast and crew. Overall, fans may have enjoyed it, but like many other things, the Academy did not care for it. Second to last, we have how Timothée Chalamet was there for one category. Not only was he there for his role in Wonka, and was only nominated for 2 categories technically, both based on his character, but he lost in both categories as well. He and Kylie walked in there like they were big shot talk of the town just for him to lose. The least they could have done was be there on time to create less of a spectacle for themselves, since he seemed very confident he had the win. That's what happens when you get too full of yourself and your acting skills. You lose in front of your girlfriend, and the embarrassment from that was enough to take him down a notch. And last but not least, we have how the entire thing was described as lame and chaotic. Between Jo Koy's secondhand embarrassing monologue, which caused even Selena Gomez to bow and shake her head, to the lack of excitement from many attendees, it was described as rushed and unpolished, like he could have used some refining before he went on stage. People even described this year's Golden Globes overall as forgettable, and it was just a blur of talking heads and jokes that fell flat. At least this year, the champagne wasn't lukewarm like Jennifer Lawrence predicted. Out of the 81 Golden Globes, this one was ranked at a level D of entertaining. It's embarrassing for the Academy, I suppose.